Imagine waking up and discovering that your paycheck isn't dollars anymore. It's access to a model that can write, design, diagnose, and trade better than 99% of humans. Imagine that instead of transferring money, companies trade model access tokens. Imagine an economy where owning the right AI means owning the means of production, and the rest of us rent the ability to think. If that sounds futuristic, lean in, because this isn't science fiction. The building blocks exist right now. The race to turn AI itself into a new form of wealth, a programmable, rentable, and tradable asset, is already underway.
Today, we trade dollars, equities, and data. Tomorrow, we could trade capability. Specialized models, fine-tuned intelligence, compute time, synthetic data sets. When those capabilities become the primary vehicle of value exchange, the rules change. Value will accrue not to the person who writes the best code, but to whomever controls the model, the data that trains it, the chips that run it, and the pipes that distribute it. This video unpacks how an AI monopoly could form, why it could become, in effect, a kind of currency, how that would reshape markets and power, who stands to win and lose, and what you can do now to avoid being priced out.
When I say AI becomes currency, I don't mean literal banknotes printed with neural net logos. I mean the primary unit of economic exchange, trust, and productivity becomes access to or control over AI capabilities. Think in 3 layers. Capability as value. Stop buying the product, start buying the machine that makes it. Instead of buying a report, you buy an API call that produces it. Instead of hiring a designer, you license a design model tuned to your brand. The unit of value is a single, productized output of the model. Access as payment. Payment flows become arrangements of access. Microtransactions pay for tiny slices of model compute. Subscriptions and token economies pay for prioritized latency, accuracy, or customization. Ownership as wealth. This is the vault. The deepest value sits with the owners of the underlying assets, the models, the training data, and the compute fabric. If you own the model and the network, you place a toll booth on every interaction. So currency here is really programmable capability, measurable, transferable rights to perform tasks, make predictions, or create content at scale.
Quick question. Who gets paid when a model writes a best-selling article? The platform? The training data owners? The person who prompts it? Which answer you choose reveals who will become rich in the AI economy.
How does a monopoly form in this space? It's simple. You control the bottlenecks. There are 4 choke points that make up the anatomy of the AI giant. 1. Models. Large pre-trained models are expensive to build, and they get better with scale. This creates a natural concentration. Only well-funded players can build the most capable general models or afford the compute to fine-tune them. 2. Data. AI eats data. High-quality, proprietary, privately collected datasets, customer interaction logs, proprietary scientific data, specialized imagery are gold. Whoever owns the best datasets can create better, sticky models for certain domains. 3. Compute and chips. Training and low-latency serving requires specialized hardware, GPUs, TPUs, and massive data center capacity. If a small number of firms own most of the chips and the cloud infrastructure that runs them, they can control the flow of intelligence itself, price, access, and speed. And 4, distribution and integration. Owning the channels, the platforms where users interact, search, messaging, cloud consoles, means controlling demand.
If the major platforms bundle exclusive AI primitives into their stacks, they capture the downstream revenue and lock in customers. Combine those four: model, data, compute, distribution, and you have the industrial logic of a monopoly. Control the inputs, control the outputs, control the market.
Here's the scary part, and the key difference from the past. This monopoly can be invisible. It's not just one company dominating search or ads. It's one underlying architecture, one access layer, one billing model, quietly shaping every thought, every transaction.
Traditional monopolies extract rents by controlling physical goods or distribution. An AI monopoly extracts rents by monetizing intelligence, the ability to automate tasks, create content, and make decisions. Two differences matter. A, marginal cost is near zero for each additional output. Once a model is trained, serving another audit report or image has almost zero marginal cost, so the monopoly owner doesn't need to limit output. It needs to control access and pricing mechanisms, subscriptions, tiered APIs, priority queues, to capture value. B, the value multiplies through composition. AI outputs become inputs for more AI. A model writes code that trains another model. A model produces data that enriches another model. That composability means control compounds, enabling winners to expand faster. Illustration. Imagine a supply chain where one company owns the factory, the robot that assembles the part, the design file, and the shipping route. Now they charge you for every single step and even the permission to buy the raw material. That's the AI world.
If AI can automate an entire job end-to-end, what happens to wages? If the owner of the automation sells access back to the workforce, who benefits? The owners or the users? This question becomes the central political economy of the next decade.
For AI to function like a currency, it needs to be fungible, tradable, and measurable. There are three mechanisms by which that can happen. 1. API tokens and microbilling. Every powerful model is accessed via an API. You supply a token that grants a tiny slice of compute or priority access. These tokens are minted, priced, and traded like crypto assets. Over time, tokens representing a specific high-quality capability become the de facto unit of exchange. 2. Capability markets and contracts. Specialized marketplaces will emerge where you can license vertical models for medicine, legal drafting, engineering. Contracts guarantee performance metrics, latency, accuracy. These contracts are financial instruments you can underwrite and trade. 3. Compute-backed assets. Ownership of reserved compute capacity becomes an asset class. Think of compute futures, contracts for guaranteed GPU hours. Investors will speculate on compute scarcity. Companies will securitize access to large training runs. The result? Value moves from fiat to access. Money buys access to models. Models generate outputs that create income. The income funds more model ownership. A feedback loop. Imagine you could buy a token that guaranteed 1 minute of a world-class legal AI's time. That token becomes worth money, and if you own enough tokens, you control who gets legal advice in a region. That's not hypothetical. That's a possible market dynamic.
Now, let's look at the winners and losers. Winners include asset owners, companies that control models, data, chips, or platforms. Integrator entrepreneurs, builders who bundle AI access into industry-specific workflows and own the client relationship. And capital and speculators, investors who buy compute futures, model IP, or marketplace tokens. Losers include routine knowledge workers. These are the first to feel the squeeze. Jobs defined by pattern matching, predictable decision flows, and paperwork automation are at high risk. Small businesses, if they depend on renting model access from a dominant provider, their margins get squeezed. And open communities. Public goods like open scientific datasets or small open source model efforts may be sidelined without new funding models. But it's not binary. Some workers will be upgraded, those who can combine domain expertise with AI orchestration skills, while others will be priced out. Here's the brutal reality. If model access is the new rent, then previously free gains from productivity become a new tax on users. The question isn't whether AI will create wealth, it's who captures it.
An AI monopoly is not just economic, it's political. Governments will face three pressures: antitrust versus national interest. Breaking large AI platforms might weaken national capabilities, especially if those platforms are pivotal in infrastructure or defense. Regulators must balance market competition with strategic capacity. Data sovereignty. Countries might insist data used to train models about their citizens stays within borders. That fragments markets and raises compliance costs, but it protects strategic autonomy. Taxation and redistribution. If value accrues to model owners, governments will need new tax frameworks for intangible executable assets. Do you tax API revenue? Token trades? Compute ownership? There's also a geopolitical angle. Whoever controls global model infrastructure can exert soft power, shaping information flows, economic terms, and technological standards. If a handful of firms can throttle AI access to a country in a crisis, what does that mean for sovereignty? It's not science fiction. It's a policy headache waiting to happen.
Let's be concrete. I'll outline three plausible futures, each increasingly concentrated. Scenario A. Decentralized composability, the best case. Open source models, federated training, and modular compute markets let many players build and trade capabilities. Value accrues broadly. Regulation encourages interoperability. Corporations compete on specialization, not walled gardens. Outcome? Many winners, slower concentration, resilient innovation. Scenario B, platform oligopoly, the middle ground. A small number of platforms dominate model quality and distribution, but third-party marketplaces exist under strict terms. Access is sold via API tokens and subscriptions. Prices are moderate, but gatekeepers set standards. Outcome, significant rent extraction, strong incumbents, winners in integrations. Scenario C, entrenched monopoly, the worst case. A few players control models, chips, and distribution, and bundle capabilities into exclusive ecosystems. Tokens and compute markets are tightly controlled. Economic participation requires paying rents to the owners of intelligence. Outcome, high inequality, political friction, fragile innovation outside the walled gardens. Which path we take is not predetermined. Small policy choices, open source strategy, and business models over the next few years will decide whether AI is a public utility or a corporate toll booth.
If you care about outcomes, fairness, opportunity, and innovation, here are practical moves at 3 levels. For policymakers and regulators, treat model access as critical infrastructure. Regulate interoperability and portability. Users should be able to migrate models and data between providers. Tax and redistribute. Create mechanisms to capture rents from model owners and invest them into public goods, education, retraining, and basic research. Encourage open compute and datasets. Fund public compute clouds and curated datasets for health, climate, and public service. For platform builders and startups, design for openness. Build APIs that are composable and price them transparently. Compete on service, not on enclosure. Specialize deeply. Focus on vertical problems where domain knowledge and customization matter. These are harder to automate into pure commodity APIs. Explore co-ops and shared ownership. Worker or user-owned models can align incentives differently than pure profit maximizers. For workers and creators, learn orchestration over automation. Skills that combine domain knowledge with AI management, prompt design, evaluation, and fine-tuning will be valuable. Build assets, not just skills. Create niche datasets, small vertical models, or tool chains you can license rather than only sell hours. Diversify income streams. Consulting, productizing workflows, and community-supported models can hedge risk. If you don't want to be a rent payer in the AI economy, start building the components people will need: data, niche models, and integration templates. These are the new capital assets.
We're standing at a fork. AI can be a communal engine, distributed, open, and embedded in thriving ecosystems, or it can become a private toll booth, extracting rents for every thought, diagnosis, and transaction. A monopoly, where AI functions as currency, concentrates not only wealth, but agency. Who decides what's important, what's accurate, and who gets access? That concentration will shape politics, culture, and personal freedom. The good news? The technical architecture that enables concentration also enables decentralization. Models can be shared, compute can be federated, and interoperability can be regulated. The choices we make, by building open systems, by designing fair pricing, and by insisting on portability, determine whether AI enriches billions or enriches the few.
So here's the question I want you to think about. If we let the new power brokers turn AI into the new money, who will mint the coins and who will get to spend them? If this video gave you a new angle, drop a like. If you want me to break down specific real-world plays to own AI access, tokens, compute futures, or vertical model businesses, say which one in the comments and I'll make a deep dive on it next. Thanks for watching. Build skills, build assets, and whatever you do, start thinking about the rules before the rules are written for you.